Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this is my latest tutorial. This is how to make a foam board sword, and it is the Attack on Titan sword. Fun and easy project. You can have this done in no time at all, and all you need is one sheet of foam board, and you can use cardboard if you don't have foam board. And of course, I give you the template with everything in it. So what you do is you print that up, and you make the sword. See, here's the template. Easy enough. Thanks for watching my videos. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing. If not, what do? Hit that button. Okay, before we get started, I just wanted to show you real quick how you can make your own sword from anything, any game, any movie, anime, comic, anything. You sketch it out. You do a lot of sketches and you'll get a sense for it. And you'll be able to refine it. And if you have a light box, that's even better because then you can plan out the layers, and that's what I do. I do have a tutorial on how to make a light box if you want to make one. But it's really handy. So let's get started. You print up the template, and as you can see there, I have directions, and I have all the pieces. And it's 4 pages. And it's pretty easy. This is a pretty easy project. If you've made one of my other foam board projects, you'll have no trouble with this one at all. But let's take part 1 there. You see that handle piece. Part 2 and part 3. And cut them out. And you're going to notice part 1 and part 4 look the same, but they're not. They're different. So make sure you get part 1 for this. And don't forget to cut out those trigger fingers. The trigger guards. But take 1, 2, and 3 and tape them, lay them out like this, and tape them together. And use a ruler or something to try to make sure it's nice and straight. You want your sword to be nice and straight, because it's easy to kind of make it a little bit crooked here. So use a straight edge, get it nice like that, and then go ahead and tape them together. Okay, so now we've got our one piece of foam board, and you can buy foam board in a lot of places like Walmart for $1. I think it's $1, like $1.09. There you go. See, I'm showing you not to forget to cut out those trigger pieces. You know, drugstores often have foam board. Office supply stores. I have links on the tutorial if you want to buy foam board on Amazon. But take that template now and lay it on your foam board diagonally like this. And diagonally because it's so we could get the sword as large as we possibly could. And then trace it. And don't forget those trigger guards, trace those too. I think I'm obsessed with the trigger guards for some reason. I just don't want you to forget, because I did forget when I was doing it. I had to go back and reshoot some video and stuff and try to recover the mistake I made. So there you go. So there's the sword, easy enough. You know, you've got the basis here. You know, and from here it's all details. So go ahead and cut that out. And I'm going to show you a couple of tips here that you're going to find really handy when it comes to cutting foam board. But for the blade section, if you have a long enough straight edge, use that to make your cut. It makes it much, much better. And watch this. I make 3 passes. 1 pass, that cuts the top layer of paper. The second pass cuts the foam. You press a little harder. And the third pass, you press hardest and you cut the bottom layer of paper. And this is how, with that 3-pass method, is how you cut foam board nice and cleanly. And you've got to have a nice sharp knife for this. You know, I love the X-Acto knives. And I have actually, not one word of a lie, I have at least, I'd say at least 6 X-Acto knives. I probably have more like 12. Different handles, different sizes. Sometimes I lose them and I buy a couple more and then I find the ones I lost. But there you go. There's the sword. So now we're going to do piece 4. And piece 4 is a little bit different. So you do the same thing. You cut that piece out. And lay it on foam board and trace 2 of them. And then go ahead and cut those out. So you can have this sword done in, I guess it depends a little bit on your skill level, but you can have this sword done in no time at all. And if you're a fan of Attack on Titan, you'll be proud of what you've done. There we go. So now let's put this thing together. So you glue one of those part 4s onto the sword like this on top. Easy enough, and the trigger is different. See, now you can see the actual trigger inside the trigger guard. That's why 1 and 4 are different. That's one of the things. And then you take the other one that you did, and you glue it on the bottom. See the trigger guard? Trigger. There you go. I have big hands, so those triggers are a little bit small for me, but I think if, you know, you can always open them up if you need to. And then you glue it on the bottom too. So now around the edges there is a little rough, so go ahead and trim those with your X-Acto knife or hobby knife to clean it up and smooth it up so it looks better. You know, that's the nature of stacking things up like this, is there's going to be a little bit of inconsistency. And then sand around the edges of the whole thing to make it nice and smooth. I think I'm using about 100 grit here. So the sword itself is pretty much made. Now we're going to add those little details that make it look really nice. And they're all in the template, so what you can do is, you know, trace those out. And each, in the template I tell you, make 2 of them, make 1 of them, whatever. Now for this part, cut the center section out like this so it's half the size. Now you'll see what I mean here. See that center section between the two, I guess you could call them, it's like a dumbbell. We're taking the handle section of the dumbbell and we're cutting half of it out so it's thinner and we can curve it nicely. There you go. So now we can curve that nicely around the sword like this. It's like a safety mechanism. There we go. Looks good. And then our other pieces, we're going to cut those all down to half size, because when you glue a full-size piece of foam board like this on the detail, it sticks out a little too much. So you could glue these pieces all on and you'd be fine. But they look better if you cut them in half like this, and then they're not as thick. So go ahead and do that for all the remaining pieces. And now let's glue them on. First one goes here. And that's all in the template, the exact location of these. Second one goes here. I think that's, let me see, pieces 5 and 6. Piece 7. The grip on the handle. And I'm going to show how to make that pattern. Piece 8. Which is really kind of neat. And you curve it around and glue it on the bottom too. And piece 9, right there. And then if you have a little piece of black wire, you add it in like this. And if you don't have any black wire like this, which is optimal because that gives you that nice curve. If you don't have black wire, I mean, you could use black string or black yarn or something, or improvise something. You could find something that works. You could even, I don't know, probably roll out some aluminum foil and paint it, and that'd probably work. So now the handle, let's get that pattern on it, on the grip. And all I did was, I'm not sure what the dimensions here are, it's like every 1/4 inch maybe. I just drew a line with a ballpoint pen, and I pressed pretty heavy. It isn't the actual ink that we want, it's the indent in the grip. So and then cross hatch it, then do more lines in the angle direction, and then you come up with that. And like I said, it's all about the indents in the foam board, so press down hard, because that's what will give it the texture. So that's it, the sword is done. Let's paint it. The grip is brown, and feel free to, you know, improvise any colors that you want, you know, or, you know, fancy it up some. I kept it pretty simple. Everything on the handle is black. This is always a fun part for me. I don't know why. I guess I just enjoy it. And now the blade, and how I did this is it's actually two colors, two shades of gray, one darker than the other. But first I painted the whole blade a gray color. And then I drew a line on it that separates it into 1/3 and 2/3. So 1/3 from the right edge there, the bottom edge, draw a line. And now we're going to paint that bottom third. And you can just go ahead and paint it, but if you have painter's tape, apply that. It'll make for a nice crisp line. And painter's tape is special because it's made to go on nice and stay on nice, but to peel off without pulling any of the paint. So it peels very easily, and that's the kind of the point behind painter's tape. So I painted that now with a lighter shade of gray. What I did was I added a bunch of white to the gray. And then that's it. Once it dries, you're all set. You can peel that painter's tape off and you have your 2 tones of paint with a nice crisp line. And so one more thing here. Let's just add those indents in the blade. And all I did was use a pencil every 3.5 inches, just like this. And that's that. You have made the Attack on Titan sword. You are ready for battle. Let's take one last look at the completed sword. Remember, if you make this project, send me a picture. I will send you a certificate of contribution, and I have literally minimum 1,000 certificates of contribution I have sent out. So I'd be happy to send you one too by email.